everyone, it's Mandy and thanks so much for joining me for another process video. The layout that I'm creating today is for the Vicki Boutin design team. And what I wanted to do on this layout was create a mixed media background that I could cut a large title out of using my silhouette cameo. So I'm just going to be adding my mixed media to that top portion of the cardstock because I know that that's all I'm going to need to be able to cut out a title. So I'm not going to be adding it to the whole piece of white cardstock. So to start with there, I added some gesso to the page, and I did that because I knew I was going to be using a fair bit of wet mediums and that there would be a lot of liquid going onto the cardstock. And so that's going to protect the cardstock, and it also means that I'm going to be able to blend my colours together better than if I hadn't have used gesso, because it means that the colours sit on top of the page rather than soaking into it. So that was why I primed the page with gesso first. And I'm having a play today with the Vicki Boutin art crayons, and this is the first time that I've used these and I absolutely loved them. They were really easy to use. As you can see there, all I did was just scribble them onto some plastic packaging, and then I used my water brush to add some liquid to them, and then I just smushed it onto the page, and it gives a beautiful watercolor look. They were just really beautiful and really easy to use. And so what I'm doing here now is I actually wanted to get a bit more of a vibrant colour on the page. It wasn't quite bright enough or vibrant enough for what I wanted. So what I'm doing is just using the art crayon and applying it directly onto the page using my water brush. And this worked really well. I was really happy with how this turned out. The colour was a lot brighter and there was more pigment. So if you are wanting, a bit more colour, a bit more pigment on your page, this is a great way of applying the art crayons to your cardstock. And so I chose some cooler colours from the art crayons because I want to create a bit of a watery look, because the photo that I'm going to scrapbook is of my husband and my son swimming in the pool. So that's what I'm going for here, and that's why I chose those colours. And so I'm happy with how that's looking now. It's a bit more vibrant and brighter, and I've tried to blend them together a little in the middle where those two colours meet. So now I'm just adding some splatters to the page, and I'm just using those same art crayons in the same colours, and once again just scribbling them onto some plastic packaging, spritzing it with some water, and then using a small paintbrush to splatter that onto the page. So now what I want to do, now that that bottom layer is done, I want to add some stenciling on top of that just to give it some more interest and texture. So I've pulled out the Vicki Boutin acrylic paints and one of Vicki's new stencils. So she just released this at Creativation recently, and I absolutely love it. The circles are so fun, and it was perfect for what I wanted on this page because I think it gives the effect of water ripples, which was exactly what I wanted. I wanted this to look watery, and so I was so happy that I had this stencil to be able to do that. And what I'm doing is just doing a bit of a tone on tone effect. So I did the blue on top of the blue paint on top of where I'd done the blue background, and now I'm using a darker green, sort of a turquoise colour, where the two colours blend into one another. And then I was going to use a lighter green over on the right hand side there, but when I apply it through the stencil and I take the stencil off, you couldn't really see it very much. So I decided to just use that darker green and continue that all the way across to the side of that page there. And I wasn't really being too particular about applying this, it really, because I knew I wanted to cut a title out of it, it really doesn't matter if it looks like a hot mess, because once you cut your title out of it, you can't tell what it looked like beforehand anyway, and so I just really wanted to add some beautiful colours and patterns and textures to the background so that it would look really pretty when I cut my title out of it. And so I'm sorry, I thought I was recording when I did this stamping, but I wasn't. So I'm just showing you there. I've used one of Vicki's new stamp sets, and it has these fun circles on it, which I love. It was so fun to play with. And I used her colour wheel in the warm colours. So these are pigment inks, and they stamp beautifully. I was really impressed with these. So I picked out a red and 2 different shades of yellow and just stamped those circles sort of randomly down the right hand side of the page, because that's where I want to focus most of the photo and most of the embellishments, down that side there. So you can see there that I've cut my title out now, and I love how that turned out. And now I'm just adding a strip of yellow pattern paper across the middle of the page there, because I wanted to have somewhere to ground my title and my photo. Before I put that there, I felt like they were just sort of floating on the page a little bit, but that patterned paper will just give them a nice place to sit. So now I'm trimming down my white cardstock so that I can mat it on that blue pattern paper, and that will just frame it nicely and really give it a pop, which I really love. And I'm going to gut the middle out of that paper because I know that I'll use that on another page, and I really don't want to waste it. And you're not going to see that anyway because it'll be hidden behind the white cardstock. So that's why I did that. And then once I get this patterned paper stuck down, I'm going to take my page to my sewing machine, and I'm going to add some machine stitching around the edge of the white cardstock just to give it some extra texture and interest. And you can see there that I've torn the bottom edge of that yellow patterned paper as well, once again just to give that some more texture. And then I'm going to use my T-square ruler just to make sure that I've got that lined up straight on the page. And the reason I chose the warm colours for the stamping on the background was because I wanted it to contrast nicely. So you can see there that I've added my machine stitching around the edge. I wanted the stamping on the background to contrast nicely with the cool colours on my title. I really wanted the colours on this page to really pop, and also my son's wearing a red rash vest in the photo, and there's the blue of the pool, so I wanted to also bring those colours into the layout as well. Okay, so now I've pulled out some embellishments and I'm ready to start adding some embellishments to the page. And so the first thing I've pulled out are the die cut ephemera frames. So I've probably mentioned in my previous videos, there's 2 different die cut ephemera packs in this collection. And sorry, I should mention this is the All the Good Things collection from Vicki Boutin. And so there's the die cut frames, and then there's the die cut icons. So the first ones I pulled out were the frames, and I've tucked one of those behind my photo just to layer there, and I often use those frames in that way rather than using them to journal on, which I sometimes do as well, but I do like to use them for layering behind my photo. And then I also added some red patterned paper behind the photo as well, and those colours, the bright colours behind the photo, are really going to help it to pop off the page and really stand out, which is what I'm going for. You know, you want your photo to be the main focus on the page. Okay, so then I pulled out the foam thickers from the collection, and I added the word life underneath the word summer, and that completes my title. And I really like that that as black because I wanted to bring some black onto the page just to contrast with those bright colours and to ground them as well. So I think that really helps them to stand out even more, I guess, with having that black on there as well. Okay, so I sort of wasn't sure what else I wanted to add at this stage, so I'm going to stick down those layers behind my photo. And you can also see there that I've added one of those cute little paper clips from the collection on the top right hand corner of the photo. And I love these, they're so cute. So I've added the little bird there. And then under the left hand side of the photo I've tucked some leaves, and that's from the die cut ephemera pack. And I chose the leaves that, you know, there's a lot of flowers and birds and butterflies and that sort of thing in this collection, but because I was scrapbooking a photo of my boys, I didn't really want to use you know, too many of those flowers and that sort of thing. I mean, I do use flowers on boy themed layouts if it feels, you know, like it needs it, but on this layout I didn't want it to be too flowery, so that was why I chose those leaves, and I really love what they add to the page. You know, I guess if I'd been scrapbooking a photo with girls in it, then I might have brought in some of those flowers, but I think this worked really well for this page. And so now I'm just getting things stuck down, and I've added a few things to the page. That die cut word there, little label that says capture, I'm not sure what else it says, that I've tucked under the top edge of that yellow patterned paper. I do stick that down there, but once I finish filming I end up taking that off because I felt like I was throwing out the balance of the layout. It was sort of drawing the focus away from the photo. So it stays there for the moment, but you'll see in the close-ups at the end that I end up taking that off. And now I'm just using some foam tape to put behind that little bird and also the leaves. And you know, if you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I love foam tape. I never create a layout, I don't think, without using foam tape because I love the dimension that it adds to the page. And so you can see here that I'm also adding foam tape behind the title, and that's just going to lift it up and give it some really great dimension on the page. Which I love, and so that's stuck down now, and then I'm just sort of ruffling up the edge of that yellow patterned paper just to give it some more texture, and so I'm sort of getting to the point now where I like how this is looking, and it really just needs some finishing touches to finish it off, so some little embellishments just to finish the page off nicely. And so I'm pulling out the watercolour stickers, and I still haven't used these to actually watercolour on, which I am most definitely going to do. But on this page, I just used some of the little word stickers, and I left them black and white because I felt like there was already enough colour on the page, and I needed a couple of neutral things on there, and I really liked how they looked. So I added a few of those little word stickers around the page, and now I'm just adding some black ink splatters just to add some more little pops of black to the page. And then I've pulled out the little pack of enamel dots, and I'm adding a few of those around the page as well. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add my date to the page, and then I will be done. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll have some close-ups here at the end for you, and please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video, and I will be back soon with another process video for you. So I'll see you then, guys. Bye.